25 children walk into a classroom on a cloudy autumn day. It is their first day at school. Some eager, some anxious. They all walk in, sit down and meet their teacher, and begin their academic journey that will last 12 years, leading some of them into university. A story that sounds familiar to all of you, I presume. But within this classroom, and within every classroom, there is a gap in their achievement that has been formed long before they started school. This attainment gap is a form of unobserved educational inequality whose causes and implications pose serious policy challenges. Research in the US shows that we can predict whether a child will achieve the minimum test score required for it to be admitted into university with 90% certainty at the age of 7. How can we do this so early? Well, the amount of words children hear in the household at an early age has an important effect on their cognitive development of their abilities and their skills. Believe it or not, words can make a difference. At birth, children learn to recognize their parents' voice, a voice that stimulates their brain like no other. To put this in simple terms, a broad range of words used by the parent when talking to their children through stories, fairy tales, and parent-child interaction has an important effect in the development of the cognitive abilities of the children. A broad range of words can help the children become more knowledgeable and increase their abilities. Now, most of the development of the children's brain is done by the age of 5, before children enroll at school. Stimulating the brain before the enrollment age enhances the abilities of the children, both presently and later in life. This is the birth of the attainment gap. Now, research from Columbia University has found that students from higher income backgrounds have larger brain volumes in areas that support linguistic functions relatively to children from lower income backgrounds after controlling for both age and gender. This fundamental cause of the achievement gaps persists as children grow into school age, and the children from higher income backgrounds still use a relatively greater share of their brain volumes to support linguistic functions. Now, this can be traced back to parent-child interaction at an early age, because children that come from a professional background hear about 2,200 words per hour of interaction with their parents. Now, children that come from working-class parents hear 1,300 words per hour of parental interaction. Children whose parents live on welfare only hear 700. Now, the implications of this achievement gap are staggering. It implies that for those 25 children that walk into the classroom, the playing field is not really level. And the playing field is not level before they have even started learning anything. Schools can help reduce that gap, but it never really disappears, because the difference lies in the volume of the brain areas that support linguistic and mathematical functions. The very persistence of this gap through school age creates a feedback loop. High achievers turn to score higher grades in test scores, like all of you are, and then other students are becoming increasingly demotivated. They tend to choose more academic subjects that increase their chance of admission to top-tier universities from which they can springboard onto a professional career. Their children are likely to be born as children of professionals and are likely to hear 2,200 words per day rather than 700. Now, I'm not denying the potential ambiguities within this research or suggesting that schooling has no overall effect on student outcomes. And I'm not ignoring that parents coming from a professional background have amassed more savings to be invested in their children's educations, both at an early age and later in life. But I do believe that the quality of parental interaction with their children is an important factor that is being systematically overlooked when drafting education policy across the world. And that if we want to foster a society of greater equality of opportunity, we need to take the necessary step of increasing the quality of parent-child interaction. So because of the pressure on politicians and policymakers and public intellectuals to reduce inequality, this issue raises important policy implications. For it implies that the academic track of a child cannot be reversed just within the school environment. That even at preschool, it may be too late. It implies that researchers and policymakers need to go into the home, where it all begins from the age of 0 to 3. The 30 Million Words Initiative, named after the extent of the word gap that has been amassed from the child's birth till its 4th birthday, is a Chicago-based initiative that trains consenting individuals from low-income backgrounds using recording sensors to measure how many words they tell their child on a daily basis. These parents have children aged from 0 to 3. The 30 Million Words Initiative starts so early because their research, too, finds out that the amount of words a child hears at an early age highly correlates with its ultimate IQ and academic success. So they use comprehensive parent-directed curriculum to target both the behavioral and the cognitive development of the children by consistently implementing both updated technologies and cutting-edge educational methods with traditional methods. They advise parents to engage in storytelling activities and conversations and read their children fairy tales. And at the same time, they advance the research on this field and improve the potential of young people's lives from low-income backgrounds. Now, from an economics point of view, this makes sense. We devote billions in improving our schools, and rightly so. Yet, we completely ignore any potential benefits that could emerge from drafting an education policy aimed at training and educating parents to give their children a better chance at academic success later in life. We acknowledge and accept that in the 21st century, education needs to be, and eventually due to automation will become, more personalized. Yet, we fail to recognize that soft skills that foster change, such as adaptability and creativity, skills that will define who will fall behind and who will thrive in an ever-changing labor market, can be cultivated at a stage much earlier than we think. And they can be cultivated at a level that cannot get more personal than a conversation or a story shared between parent and child. But how do we aggregate and how do we enhance parenting on a national scale? How can the state, especially in a time when experts are not particularly trusted, make recommendations on something as sensitive as how one can be a better parent? And how can this message be communicated effectively to people from all walks of life, from different educational backgrounds and different socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds? I think that the first thing we need to do is to update and extend existing research using population-level samples and accounting for the changes brought about by new technologies. So new technologies have brought the ability to bring about multimedia platforms and harness the ability of personalized learning. However, there remains the concern that if used at an early age, too much screen time can have adverse effects on the mechanical and the physical mental health of the children. We need to use cutting-edge research methods, interdisciplinary methods, in order to increase and enhance our knowledge of the matter, to verify that this is an idea worth investing in. The second thing we need to do is to proceed with small-scale tests of these policies in low-income communities and in inner cities to see whether it helps the people that can benefit the most from these policies. The 30 Million Words Initiative is looking at center-based approaches, incorporating daycares and training parents in order to enrich structurally the learning environment children in low-income communities grow in. But the 30 Million Words Initiative is a Chicago-based initiative, and similar initiatives operate at the local level too. If we want to have a chance at reducing the attainment gap, we need to adopt methods with nation-level consistency, implement them in local-level proximity in order to have a nation-level impact. Thirdly, we should aim to start programs directed at parents. These return-to-school programs will need to start on a national scale, giving incentives to parents to attend them and perform well at them. And these returns-to-school programs should aim to parents that have children ranging from age 0 to 7 and help them, giving them educational tools to enhance their children's cognitive abilities. Fourthly, we must not forget that the idea of parent-child interaction is there to complement our existing schools, improving our existing schools, and expanding our preschools. Public-private sector partnerships are there to help us too. For example, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is using some of its funds to assess the performance of teachers in Atlanta-based communities. They gather and store data, analyze them in order to assess the teachers and figure out which of them could potentially need retraining and coaching. They use content-sharing platforms to build effective teacher teams. We must remember that improving the learning environment doesn't always mean creating policy from scratch. It means identify which ideas work, improving them, and complementing them with new ones. Despite potential cultural and moral setbacks, these 4 points are what I see as our best chance to improve and level the playing field for those 25 children entering in the average classroom so that they can have a chance to find equality of opportunity within their school environment. Now, I started looking into this topic, curious about what defines learning and teaching and which teaching methods work within a learning environment. Reading around, I realized that I am indebted to my parents more than I thought I was. For stories, conversations that, frankly, most of them I don't even remember. I was too young. And this applies to most of the people in this room. My motivation for this talk is that I feel that too few people know the consequences of this attainment gap, and that not enough parents know how big an impact they can create on their children's life just by one more bedtime story. Thank you.